Hey, folks, welcome to Rogue One Radio. This is episode number 29. And you're here with me, Steve, and Charlie. And
hey, how's it going?
How you been doing?
Man, oh man, it has been already a week. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. Holiday season, trying to get everything all wrapped up and tucked away, and kids with finals, and man, it's just I feel like a piñata that I'm either getting beaten with a stick or someone's pulling at the strings trying to knock some candy loose.
Yeah, we're still doing a little bit of the old Christmas shopping. Haven't really completed any of that yet. I'm kind of a late, kind of a procrastinator when it comes to that, anyway.
Right.
But yeah, so let's see, what's been going on with you this week besides Christmas stuff?
Oh
reading,
man,
any movies, any video games?
a little bit of reading, just some things here and there. Nothing really concrete. No novels or. I'm just kind of, just little bits, articles, lots of news stuff. I've been looking at a lot of history things. Nothing earth-shaking, just stuff that's a lot of fun.
Cool. So let's see. What's been going on? I finished listening to the audiobook of Resistance Reborn. It wasn't a bad book. Probably not my favorite of the new canon, but it was all right.
It's and we kind of were talking about this in our Red 5 chat, that I don't know if I was just because I was spoiled with the EU and just took it as like a standalone story, and where it's not necessarily has to be connected to anything or would be connected to anything. But Miss Roanhorse, she writes very well, yeah. And I like the way that I like the way that it was written. And I just took it as a Star Wars story rather than, it has to fit in between here and here. And if it doesn't bring up, certain aspects, then, but as a standalone, I thought it was very well written, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Could there have been more tie-ins? Sure, absolutely. But I liked it.
Yeah, wasn't bad. I'm still not done with a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back. I'm very close to being done with that. Probably somewhere in the 90% completion rate range. Trying to think. As far as video games, I was playing Watch Dogs 2 a little. And then I ended up going back and playing some more Fallout, but haven't really been playing a whole lot of video games this week anyway.
Right.
Oh, then we got RFB in the chat with us. Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
So, if you didn't realize, we are live tonight. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. And if you are listening, join in the chat.
Absolutely, yeah. It's, the more the merrier, and we love discussing things with people. And this is our first go-around with us being actually live. And it's the future is bright.
Yep. Coming into the 20th century finally.
So hey, as long as we get there.
What's that?
As long as we get there, that's the important thing.
So tonight we're going to be talking about the latest episode of The Mandalorian, which is chapter 15, The Believer. And we also have, of course, some news, a lot of news actually to go over. But before we jump into that, we are, of course, going to go ahead and take our first music break. This first song is from a band called Don't Make Ghosts. They're actually from here in the Oklahoma City area, and they just put an EP out in November called To Hell with the Smiles. We've actually played them on the show before. But yeah, this is the name of the song is Get Lonely. So here we go. Let's see if I can get this thing going. All right, apparently we're having audio problems. That's the great thing about live, isn't it? Well, if I can get this thing to work with me, I'm going to try this again, see if I can get the audio to actually come through. This is kind of a work in progress, folks.
A moment in time. A moment in time. A moment fell connected again. Like a pain and a purpose. Does it brought me to you in the end? We got so fucking high, we surrendered to die. You let me in, but by your veins. Let's get fun, get lonely again. Get lonely again.
All right, that was Get Lonely by Don't Make Ghosts. And you heard it here on Rogue One Radio. So that was the first piece of music we'll be playing tonight. Next segment, we're going to run through some news, and there is quite a bit of it. So go ahead, Charlie.
It was pretty interesting that last week we were talking about how light of a news week that it was, and that we were kind of scraping around the bottom of the barrel, and now, as they say, our cup runneth over.
It does. So we are going to discuss the announcements by Disney at their investor meeting last week, but we've got a couple of things to talk about that did not come out of that investor meeting. First piece was an announcement by Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, among other characters. He has announced that he is going to be doing a podcast miniseries about Deadpool. So as we know, Rob Liefeld created the Deadpool character, probably some 30 years ago? And,
yeah, it was in the early to mid 90s.
Yeah, and it was he was created as part of the New Mutants comic book, which is also where another Cable creation, the character Cable, got his debut.
Yeah.
Well, technically, as Cable, he got his debut. His debut was as the baby in the Inferno storyline in the X-Men comic books. But as Cable, he debuted in New Mutants. But yeah, so Rob Liefeld created Deadpool as well, and he's going to be doing a 5-part miniseries podcast about the character. And according to the article that came from CBR.com, it will be starting in January. Oh, apparently it's part of a podcast that he already does. So it's going to be basically a mini series of a podcast that he's already been doing called Robservations with Rob Liefeld. I've never listened to that podcast. Actually, makes me want to go and listen to that podcast because I kind of like some of the stuff Rob Liefeld has done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. I've liked a lot of his characters, his artwork. Yeah, that's going to be, and of course, Deadpool's Deadpool. Who doesn't like to hear any sort of bits and nuggets from Deadpool? So yeah, I'll definitely be tuning in for that one.
Yeah, I know Joey is a big fan of Deadpool. He hasn't seen either one of the movies because he's a child, and
right, yeah,
those weren't really meant for kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our next piece of news, if you want to jump in on that one.
Absolutely, man. This is one of my favorite pieces of news that we got that was not investor related. And I know that I saw it as just a little rumor, a little blurb, and I thought there's no way that this is going to be possible. But now more and more credible sources are are reporting on this, and that is that we are going to get Daredevil in Spider-Man 3. Charlie Cox,
Yes.
the guy that played Daredevil in the Netflix, the great, amazing Netflix show, although it was short-lived, it will reprise his role as Daredevil. And there is a rogues gallery of people that are attached to this movie now. And man, it's I don't know how they're going to fit it all into one. They had to split up in Infinity War into 2 different movies to get everything in. With this cast list, this is going to be absolutely massive. But I can't wait. He's one of my favorite characters. So yeah, it's going to be cool.
That was a really great show. They did some good work in those Netflix series. Really, I liked all of them. But yeah, Daredevil, I would have to say, was my favorite. I'm really glad that Charlie Cox is going to get to do the role again. And you're right, Spider-Man 3 is definitely becoming huge. It was just last week, I think, we were talking about Alfred Molina. He was going to be reprising his Dr. Octopus role. I mean, this is turning into quite the epic movie. Hopefully, at this point, it's probably going to have to be like a 3.5-hour long movie.
I mean, you have they're tying in the Tobey Maguire stuff. They're tying in the Andrew Garfield stuff, plus the Tom Holland stuff. You have Doc Ock, and then you have Electro is going to be in it. I know that what's his name that played Osborn in the Tobey Maguire one? Willem Dafoe said something about wanting to do it, but was kind of quiet on whether or not he was. But said, if he had the opportunity to do it again, he would. So, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. So the next news that we got was regarding a new series coming to FX and Hulu, and that is going to be a TV series about the aliens. So yeah, the old Ridley Scott Alien series is going to be coming to FX and Hulu. And from what I have read, I got the article that I got it off of is from Polygon.com. And it was from a statement. And this actually, according to the article, this was part of this investor call. And FX chairman John Landgraf made this announcement, but I don't remember that part. Maybe I just skipped over it. I don't know. But the person who's going to be the showrunner for this apparently is the writer and producer for the Fargo and Legion TV series.
Huh, interesting.
So that would be very interesting. And they're trying to get Ridley Scott himself in on the action as possibly an executive producer or a producer of some sort. So according to the article, this is going to be the story of the TV series is going to take place on Earth. So I don't know. Is it? Are we looking at a prequel? Are we looking at the same time period as the movies? We don't know. There isn't a whole lot of information that came out regarding the series. But we do know it will take place on Earth. So it will be interesting to see that. I really liked the Alien series. However, the only ones that I didn't see were the Alien versus Predator movies, and I have heard mixed reactions on those, on whether or not they're worth.
Yeah, same that I've heard. I saw the first one, and it was okay for a novelty, kind of a one-off, but they did a few of those, and now I'm just kind of Not really sure if that's something I would want to see again. My main question out of it is, are we going to get to see Sigourney Weaver again, reprising her role?
That is a good question. I don't know if she would be along for that ride or not.
Yeah.
So next piece of news that we have before we go into our Disney investor call news, I'm going to go ahead and let you take this one.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, wait a minute, we had another one. Oh yes. Now I remember as I'm holding dice in my hand. So I did read an article this week that they are moving forward with a new Dungeons and Dragons movie. This one, I think from what I can understand, is going to take a more of a darker role than, say, the other one that they did that had Marlon Wayans was in it for a lot of comic relief, and it just was Jeremy Irons was in it as the bad guy. It was okay, but it wasn't necessarily the Dungeons and Dragons that people were expecting. This one here is going to be starring Chris Pine, who by the time that this movie comes out will be in Wonder Woman 84. He's also does the Captain Kirk for the Bad Robot reboot of Star Trek. Reputable actor. I'm excited to see what they have planned for that one.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I actually did not watch the original one with Marlon Wayans and Jeremy Irons, and maybe I have to go back and check that one out. But yeah, I've played Dungeons and Dragons a time or two in my day. 3 or 4 or 5.
I started with the Gygax materials, then went on to advanced. Second edition I played for all the way up until the 90s, early 2000s probably still after the third edition came out, and was not really impressed with what they did with third. I bought all the books for fourth, and it was okay. But then I've just started back this last year playing fifth edition, and I'm really enjoying that one. So
cool. Yeah, fifth edition is the one that I've played the most of. I played the old like the original one that was in the red box.
Yeah.
And I played that a bit, and then played a little bit of had to have been one of the first when it was still called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. Played a little bit of that, and then I don't think I played any more of it until fifth edition.
Yeah,
but
fifth edition's really caught on. They just did some new books, released some new books for it. So it's
yeah.
I like what they've done.
So RFB says he sees your Inferno Squad Delamico helmet in the background.
Oh yeah, my pride and joy. I need to touch it up again.
That's a good looking helmet there. So we are on to the big part of our news, and that is going to be we're going to talk a little bit about the Disney investor call from last week. Mm-hmm. Starting off with a lot of the new Marvel projects that have been announced. So I guess how do you want to do this? Let me just tell you the list of projects that I have, and mm-hmm. You said earlier I might be missing some, so you can just tell me what I'm missing, and then we can talk a little bit about some of the ones we're really looking forward to.
Sure.
So the ones that I have are two of them are films. One of them is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The other film is the Fantastic Four film. And then the three TV shows that I have now. I know there's more TV shows coming out. These are the three new ones. That is, I had not heard of them prior to this investor call.
Okay.
So two of them are Iron Man spinoffs. One is called Armor Wars, and I understand that's going to focus more on War Machine. Ironheart is about the comic book character Ironheart. And then the last one that I have is Secret Invasion. So that was all I had for the new Marvel lineup. And of course, there are other ones coming out. You know, we've talked about them on the show before. You've got Hawkeye, you've got WandaVision, you've got Loki.
Yes.
Well, we've got the Eternals coming out next year, as well as Black Widow. What am I missing?
What If?
That's right. What If?
Yeah, that looks cool. Because that's my number one question for everything is even Star Wars is, well, what if? You know, what if this happens, or what if that? You know, what if this were to happen instead? Or so that one looks cool. That's going to be animated though, and it's coming out this summer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Just to see what kind of projects they or what kind of stories they start to tell. Now, out of the new announcements, I think my favorite is probably going to be Fantastic Four. And mostly because I've seen how they've done it in the past. And they just, you know, the studios just haven't done a really good job, have not done a good job of the Fantastic Four storytelling. So I really want to see how a good studio like the folks at the Marvel Cinematic Universe are going to deal with it.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming since we've had a good Fantastic Four. There just always seems to be something that plagues either the cast or the director, or something that goes on that makes producing that movie very hard to do. So hopefully they'll get it this time with the backing of Marvel Studios. I'm sure that it will. I don't know which one that I'm looking forward to the most. The Marvelous Miss Marvel looks interesting. So we'll see how that one does. That's a Captain Marvel spinoff. Of course, we're getting Captain Marvel 2 as well. I think that'll probably be a bridging the gap thing. She-Hulk also looks like that's something that, because I like the comic, and I would really like to see, and we haven't seen that in either a TV show or any sort of live action kind of thing that we before. So I'd really would like to see that one. Of course, we've already mentioned Thor: Love and Thunder, Armor Wars, which is going to be a War Machine. Ironheart is another one that could be interesting to do. I haven't seen if it was going to be live action or animated, because I know they do have a comic, and I've heard rumors that they were working on an animated one for Ironheart, but I haven't seen anything. This is the closest thing that we've gotten to the actual announcement. So,
yeah. So let's go to the chat. Which ones are you looking forward to seeing from the new Marvel projects? So if anybody in the chat wants to chime in on this, feel free. There's a lot of Marvel projects coming out, both prior to the investor announcement and on the day of the investor announcement. A lot of good stuff coming out.
While we're waiting on the chat, did you hear that they will not recast T'Challa for Black Panther 2? Yeah.
And I think the only sensible way to do it is to make his sister Black Panther.
Yeah, I think so.
And I imagine that's probably the way they're going to do it. So I guess RFB in the chat said, Marvel's not my place, not familiar to me. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm sure you'll have a lot more input on the next batch that we have to talk about. And that, of course, is the Star Wars news that came out at the investor call. All the new projects they're going to be doing for Star Wars, and some of them we already knew about, but others we did not. And there's a lot of it, and it's all going to be great because it's all Star Wars. So where to begin? Do you want to start with the announcement of the next movie that's coming out?
You know what? That. Why not? That sounds like a great place to start. I knew there was one coming. I was not prepared for what we got. I was not prepared for the director, nor was I prepared for that emotional explanation that was shot. And yeah, so
agreed. When I heard who was going to be directing it, I was overjoyed. It's going to be great. So we're getting Patty Jenkins, who previously directed Wonder Woman, will be directing a Rogue Squadron film.
Yes.
And that is going to be so awesome. So awesome. What are you expecting out of this? I do know that she has made, Patty herself has made a comment specifically that it is not based on the video game.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you think they're going to go with this?
Man, well, yeah. First off, I am just overjoyed with their choice of director. I know a lot of people were clamoring for a who's but with her track record, I can't wait to see it. I'm glad to see a live action through a female perspective in a feature length. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. Where I expect it to go, and of course, me being the what if guy, I think this is going to be something we'll see probably aftermath timeline wise. I'm hoping that we will get to see maybe Battle of Jakku.
I would love to see that.
I think, and I think we talked about that this last week with our crossover show, and where we'd love to see the end shot be the victory of Rogue Squadron over Jakku and the Empire hightailing it into hyperspace. So yeah. That to me, that makes the most sense. At the time, Wedge isn't there; he's in Ghost Squadron, so we don't have to have him make an appearance in the film since he's quite a bit older than that time frame. But we could possibly hear his voice or have a communication or something like that, just for a cameo or whatever. So, that's where I think they're going to put it, but who knows? It might, I would say it would have to be before the New Resistance and Poe Dameron, because he has his own squad, and that's the main squad that we see. Yeah. It wouldn't be after that, because who are they going to fight? Right. And before then, they really didn't have the original trilogies where Rogue Squadron came together. So I don't know where else that they would do it.
Yeah, any time after the battle of right after the Battle of Endor would make the most sense. On another note, we've got another addition to the chat. MRC Tech is in here with us, so welcome,
Sean.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that film, and I can't wait to see what Patty is going to do with a Star Wars movie. It's going to be awesome.
How gut wrenching was that teaser trailer with her and the rollerblades?
Oh,
when she was talking about her father being a fighter pilot. And then losing him, and then she puts on the jumpsuit and walks to the X-wing. I'm like, what? Oh, this is going to be amazing. So yeah, it pulled at my heartstrings, and I was super, super excited to see it.
Yeah, definitely. So the next batch, we've got a pretty huge batch of shows coming out on Disney Plus. As I said, some of these we already knew about. Some of these were rumored, and others were absolutely new to us. So I'm going to go ahead and list what I have, and then we can talk about which ones we want, and let the chat discuss, see what their favorites are as well. So the first one that we have is Andor, the Cassian Andor show that did get an official title, and it's just we got the animated series The Bad Batch. We've got Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is the official title for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We did get the announcement that there is going to be a live-action Ahsoka spinoff of The Mandalorian. Another spinoff of The Mandalorian will be titled Rangers of the New Republic. A couple more animated series that we're going to get. One is called Star Wars Visions, which, from what I understand, is kind of an anthology type thing. The other animated show is called A Droid Story. We're going to get a live action Lando series. And last, but certainly not least, we are getting the first live action, at least I think it's live action, the first live action entry into the High Republic era
Mhm.
called The Acolyte.
Yeah, buddy.
So where do you want to start? I mean,
Oh man.
we really should have done a specific show just for this news.
That's all right. We can go through it pretty quick. Ahsoka, we knew about after her showing up in Mandalorian. So I'm excited for that. Of course, we've already got to see a little sneak peek of what it could entail. So I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. Rosario is going to do a great job with that. Rangers, I'm guessing, is the one that I was heard was going to be based on Cara Dune and Bo-Katan, but I thought it was going to be animated. So I'm guessing they went a different direction and are going to do live on that one.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be animated as well. As far as which, if I had to pick one that I'm most excited about, I mean, I don't know how I would pick just one. There's just
I can't
so
pick one.
much. I couldn't.
I could probably pick three.
I have to admit, though, that I have really been looking forward to the Cassian Andor show, just because I want to know more about that character ever since seeing him in Rogue One, the movie. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. Really, I'm looking forward to all of them.
Yes.
I am now. One specific thing I want to bring up is regarding the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. The rumors, or I guess it's confirmed that Darth Vader is going to be in it with Hayden Christensen playing the part. Which I'm a little torn over how I feel about that.
Oh, how could you be torn?
What's that?
How could you be torn? More Vader.
Let me explain. I love the idea of getting to see Hayden, back in action, whether it be as Anakin or as Darth Vader. Yes. But the reason I'm a little torn over it is the idea of when we see him, when we see Darth Vader take on Obi-Wan in A New Hope. There's a specific line where he says, "When we last met, I was the pupil. Now I am the master." And I thought that when we saw Revenge of the Sith, that was going to be the last time they faced each other in battle until A New Hope. So if they throw him in this Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and they, as the articles have been saying, they're going to have another face-off, it just kind of blows that idea out of the water that that's the last time they meet. Now, if he's only going to be showing up in flashback scenes, or as like MRC, like Sean is saying, that Darth Vader is haunting him in his dreams. Yes, but the learner, not but the pupil. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to keep me in check. But yeah, if it's something like that, I'm all for it. I love the idea of him showing up in flashbacks, and I hadn't thought about the idea of him showing up in Obi-Wan's dreams. Or nightmares. That would be great. I don't know how I feel about them facing off in a lightsaber duel again.
I would love to see it. Again, Yeah, I'd have to, you have to get a little more clarification on what he meant by, during his, speech. If it's what I'm hearing is that Darth Vader is basically got the Inquisitors, and they are going out and trying to track down all the Jedi that escaped. I could see them possibly crossing paths. And the way that I kind of rationalize that is just the same way that Yoda was hidden. There was a dark side presence that masked Yoda on Dagobah that was based in the tree. Of course, this is EU, but there was like a holocron or something that was in there that kind of disguised Yoda's presence. All the pain that Anakin went through on Tatooine could have a very similar response. So if Obi-Wan is off-world and they happen to cross paths, and it end up being like a scene from Phantom Menace where they, briefly go at it, and Obi-Wan pulls out some new tricks, and gets away somehow and goes back to Tatooine, and Vader's like, now we have to find him, we don't know where he is. And so I could see something like that, nothing necessarily earth-shaking, but just a confrontation or two, or if it's in his dreams, would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think the show is going to be overall, I think that show is going to be great. Another one that I'm really looking forward to, I think you are too, is Ahsoka.
Yes.
And the main reason that there are several reasons I'm excited to see Ahsoka in live action with her own show, but one of the main reasons I'm excited about that is the potential that we are going to get a live action Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
Just the potential is enough to get me excited about that show.
Well, Ahsoka for me is my second favorite character out of all the characters that I've read. The character depth, the choices that she makes, the things that she has gone through, it really endeared me to that character. She is second only to Palpatine. I just apparently have a thing for characters that have so much depth that you don't really, it's not necessarily everyone's favorite, but so much intrigue and layers that you peel away just to see how they operate. But then, yes, you have the extreme possibility that we're going to get Ezra and Thrawn in live action, and yeah, man, it can't happen.
Give me all the Thrawn.
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely. So what aside from the two that I mentioned, or the few that I mentioned, is there another one in this lineup that you are most looking forward to?
I'll briefly mention two. One is Lando. Donald Glover did an amazing job as Lando in Solo. So I would love to see that. I would also love to see it almost have like the Lando Calrissian saga of the books that he did, and have it almost narrated by Billy D. Williams. And
man.
You see him in the bar or in a cantina somewhere playing Sabbath, and he's like, have I ever told you about the time that I, and then it flashes back, and you have Donald Glover, flying around and creating all sorts of mischief. So yeah, I think that would be amazing if they could do that. We probably won't get that, but that would be cool. And then
cool. Now I wonder if we're going to get a story behind each and every one of his capes.
Very possible. Very possible. But the other one that I'm really excited for, that we really don't have too much information yet, is going to be the Acolyte. It's a High Republic series.
Yep.
This, if I'm remembering right, this is the one that we were talking about. I believe it was last week or the week before. That is the Leslie Headland series. That she's the one that did Russian Doll.
Yep.
And I believe they said it's going to be female centric. So that would be really interesting to see. I know this is not the right time frame, but I was catching kind of like a second sister kind of vibe from the way that they were kind of describing it. So that would be yeah, that would be really cool to see. And you know, hey, we got less than a month away till we get our first book. So yeah, bring on all the High Republic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So those of you in the chat, do you have any specific favorites from this new Star Wars lineup that's been announced? There's so much Star Wars. We're getting so much. You know, one who isn't, you know, a person that isn't, you know, a huge Star Wars fan like we are, would think that this be a little bit of overkill.
Yeah.
But you know, the time frame in which these are going to come out, I really don't think that's going to be a huge deal. I don't think we're going to get all of this all at once.
Right, and that was the main thing. Is I believe they said this is going to be over a 5-year span. So yeah. There's plenty of time, and there's still, and this isn't even everything. They just said, you know, hey, here's a list of stuff. Go after it. But I mean, they really didn't say anything about Taika Waititi's movie or a few other shows that I've heard rumors about that we just, you know, they're just, you know, kind of holding back. You know, they don't want to, you know, lay down all their cards. You know, They want to keep some close to the chest there.
Well, one that they did not announce that I'm sure they will be in the future is going to be the Star Wars story that really deserves to be told. And I'm going to pop up a little picture here for you so you can see that. If you can't see that picture, it's a picture of Hondo Ohnaka, and we should just have a TV series called Ohnaka, and that's all you need. RFB had a really good response, and he just said, "I'll never favor one Star Wars story over another." That's a good that's a good answer.
Well, RFB, the way to get around that is you get the die and you just roll. And then every time that you roll, it, you know, hey, that's my favorite. Hey, that's my favorite. Hey, yep, that one's my favorite. And, you know, that way you can never go wrong because you always get a favorite.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So I understand you have some dice there with you, as you said earlier.
Yes.
You have a 10-sider. Okay, if you have a 10-sider, go ahead and roll it once, and that will be the Rogue One Radio collective favorite.
All right. 2.
So it would be Ahsoka. Ahsoka was
there we go.
2 in my list.
See? How can we lose?
Yeah, so Ahsoka is officially the Rogue One Radio favorite of the new Star Wars lineup.
For right now, until we roll again.
Yeah, until the next one comes out. Until we get a Hondo Ohnaka show, then, you know.
There we go. That works.
So that is it for news. We are going to talk about The Mandalorian Chapter 15 here in a bit. But let's go ahead and take another music break. And yeah, so this band, they are called Dead Living. They are from Chicago, Illinois. And they put out an album in July called Pale Moonlight. This song is called Never Ending. So let's see if I can get this to actually work.
You say you wanna get away from me, but what's this fire in your eyes? I didn't think that I was special. I see the way you spin your eyes. I'm in love, I feel special. Soon and then I'm not your guy. Let's give them now a real show. This simple life has got to go. This session road, I do not see. That's how I feel that you see me. I didn't think that I could hurt you. I see no need to say goodbye. Well, she's asleep, I'll finish leaving. If I go now, she'll never cry. Do I hate you? No. Do I regret it? Do I regret it? Do I regret it? I didn't care, I knew the ending. And taking a glass of my peace of mind. It's been 3 days, love never ending. And now 3 months since our goodbye. Ooh, love's never ending. Ooh, love's never ending. Love is never ending.
All right, that was Never Ending by Dead Living. Hope you enjoyed that. And next, we are on to, I guess you call our main topic. We are going to do our recap of The Mandalorian Chapter 15, The Believer. Initial thoughts. As far as I'm concerned, we had another great episode. Great director in Rick, who directed a couple of episodes last season. One of which being the first appearance that we got of Mayfield, who showed up in the Believer. Just overall, another really good outing in the land of the Mandalorian. Just a great show.
Yeah, this one for me really tugged at a lot of different emotions. There was so much underlying in this episode that really got to me and really made me think, and which is an amazing thing for a television show to do, or a streaming show, or a Star Wars show that makes us reflect on our own lives and how we could relate to some of these characters.
Yeah. So before we get into our deep dive, why don't you do a quick synopsis of what happened in this show?
All right. So we pretty much take off from where we were in the other one. Mando is looking for Mayfeld, who is played by Bill Burr, and we find out that he is in on a planet serving his 50-year sentence after he was trapped on the New Republic prison ship.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I will say this right, but I believe it was Morak was the name of the planet that they were on, and they're basically stripping down what looked to me was all I saw was a bunch of TIE fighter pieces in various stages. Different types of TIE fighters were in there. I think I counted 3 different ones. But I think I did see a glimpse of like a pod racer or something like that that's in there. So they go to get him, and to get the information. He's like, yeah, I could tell you, but I kind of got to go with you because I know the secrets on how to do it, and you're not going to make it very far without me. So they bring him with him, and we travel. Oh no, sorry. The planet that the refinery is on is Morak. I'm not sure if we got the name of the planet where the prison facility was. Someone will probably correct me there, but the Imperial refinery is on Morak. So we go there. It is kind of a desolate looking place. Of course, you see the signs of the imperial hold that they have there, with people living in poverty, but they have this big refinery there for energy, and it's rhydonium is the name of the element that they're transporting. It's very unstable, and as they're going along, they have to don different costumes. So they get some all black trooper outfits, tank transports, and they start to see some of the wreckage of and hear explosions of other tankers that are that are exploding off in the distance due to some sort of raiders that are trying to take the product, and so they finally catch up to our anti-hero heroes, the good guys at this time, as they're trying to get into the facility. They dispatch them, and for the first time in I think ever, we actually get to see an Imperial celebration as Din and Mayfeld happen to cross into the Imperial facility with a little help from some TIE fighters that swoop in at the end. And we get to a dilemma where they have to show their face on how to do it. And with Mayfeld being an ex-Imperial, he can't do it. So Din has to take charge, removes his helmet, and gets the information that's needed. Of course, we get a lot more backstory in there from that that we'll probably get into as we deep dive into it. but they managed to escape the facility with help from Finnick and Cara Dune. And they escape on the Slave One with Boba piloting. And then at the end of it, we see a message being sent to Moff Gideon that he is on the list.
Yeah.
So that is a brief rundown on some of the things that we got in this episode.
Very good. So where they found him was called the Carthon Chop Fields.
Okay.
And I gotta say, with all the really great stuff that happened in this episode, I really loved seeing the TIE Fighter junkyard.
Yeah.
I think that was just so awesome to see all those TIE Fighters, basically getting broken down, and almost looked like he was trying to repair them. For what purpose, I don't know, but yeah, it was really great to see all those junked out TIE Fighters. It was great.
Yes.
But then, that conversation that Din Djarin had with Mayfeld about the specific quote. I might be paraphrasing this, but it was something along the lines of when you're desperate enough, your beliefs change, or you're basically you'll do stuff that's not. Basically, he's getting to the point that he'll do stuff that's not part of his code, depending on how desperate he is.
Right.
And after they had that conversation, it started in the back of my head. I'm like, well, what is he going to do? And as it got closer to them at the refinery, the first time I'm watching it, I'm just like, he's going to take off his helmet. I know this is going to happen. He's going to take off his helmet. Like somebody's going to force him to do it, or he's going to do it willingly. But he's going to break his code because he wants Grogu. He wants Grogu back.
Yeah.
He wants Grogu back more than he cares about his Mandalorian code.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I would go that far, but I believe, especially after this last or the last run-in that he had with Mandalorians, other than Boba, including him, but with Bo-Katan explaining to him, hey, look, that's, we take off our helmets that, you were taught one way, but that's,
Right,
so
right.
his.
I meant he was breaking his code.
Right. Well, but I think his code is cracking. I'm sure he doesn't know what to believe.
What I'm getting at. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Is this little creature that has been put in his charge.
Yeah.
Is making him rethink his. And then he does it. He takes off his helmet, and we get to see Din Djarin without his mask for a good few minutes. Way more so than we got in that first season.
Yeah. I don't know. I going back just a little bit when they're in the cockpit of the tanker, and you could just see the smile on Bill Burr's face, and I don't know how many takes that he took, but my guess is that he was just busting on him, relentlessly, because he just has that. Come on, take it off. Just do it. No one's going to see it. Come on, just take it off. But I imagine that was just he's trying to get him to laugh while that mask is while he has the helmet on, and it probably took several takes for him to do it, and he just wouldn't take it off, and I just knowing the type of character or person that Bill Burr is, with that comedic sense of humor. I'm sure they were, take after take, just, doing everything that he could to, crack, Pedro to, just like make him laugh or giggle or something. But
and another thing we get a sense of about his character is, during that conversation that he's having with the Imperial, about the Operation Cinder battle that he was involved in, you get the sense that even though he's a criminal, and he was a criminal, when they first met him, but he's not really such a bad guy. He's just kind of mentally broken.
There was a line that he used, and I believe I have it right, where he says, "Not all scars are visible."
Right.
And that whole discourse really got to me. I have a lot of mental baggage that I deal with on a daily basis. And when we get that backstory of him, he's an Imperial officer. He's part of Operation Cinder. He's under the command of the guy that's there in front of him. And he says, "What about those guys?" It's all well and good, but what about them? What do they get? And it just, I was so moved by that. And then to have him shoot him, it was just like, I cheered. I'm like, yes, he's finally was able to exercise one of those demons. And who knows? At that point, he probably was a deserter. He couldn't go anywhere else. He probably thought that the rebellion probably didn't want him, or at that point, I guess it would be the New Republic. They're not going to, he was an Imperial, officer. He can't go to the Imperials. He's a deserter. Can't go to the New Republic because they're not going to want him. So what's he going to do? He's got to make a life somehow. And so he sticks to the shadows and stays out of things, and does what he has to do in order to survive. Just like what Din does, taking off his helmet. You got to do what you got to do to survive.
Right.
Right.
So there was some really good stuff in there, and it's kind of that little glimpse into the effects of PTSD or those that served. They're telling another story there within the story, and it was pretty deep. But another part I thought was great was at the end when Din Djarin almost repeats the speech from the Moff Gideon speech word for word from the first season.
Yes.
There was a couple of mild differences, but almost word for word.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And boy, it really set us up for that last episode. Good gosh, I don't know where it's going to go. It's going to get it's
no idea.
It's going to be crazy. But yeah, great episode. We got to see Boba Fett again. We got to see the Slave One again. We got to see the inside of the Slave One, which we didn't really get to see a whole lot of that except in Attack of the Clones, and really all we got of that is the cockpit.
Yeah.
but we got to see, we got to see Slave One. We got to see Fennec again. Cara Dune was along for the ride. I kind of wondered where Grief Karga was, but he would have been unnecessary anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, just all in all, a really good episode. Certainly not filler as far as the entire season goes.
Right.
Moved the plot along, and here we are, ready to face off with Moff Gideon.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a few things in here that I'm not, I'm sure you caught, but if you notice, Boba repainted his armor.
Yes.
It's a different scheme than what we've seen before. So I thought that was interesting. He's really updated the armor a lot. New paint job, new lights. Really, really looked cool. One of the cool things or the funny things that I saw or that I caught was when they're talking about how they have to get this information and download it from the Imperial computer, is they have to show their face. And Boba says, well, they might recognize my face. And I just thought that was amazing. Django was Boba is a clone of Django. He's going to look exactly like him. And he was the pattern for the clones. That someone's got to recognize it. One of the thoughts that I haven't seen yet is that there was like a readout on the screen, and I'm not sure if anyone's deciphered it. But when Din scanned his face, there was a few messages that popped up. And so it'd be interesting to see what the readout said of that. Mm-hmm. There was a mention of TPS reports, and I don't know if you caught that or not.
I did. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh yeah, which is Office Space reference. Callback for. And I'm not sure who was the big fan for that one, but when he started talking about TPS reports, I nearly lost it. I can imagine the guy walking around with a coffee cup. I need your TPS on my desk by morning.
Or a red
Mayfeld talked about Tanab, which is another callback. If you remember from Return of the Jedi, Lando is when they say, well, how'd you get to be general? Well, they must have heard about my whatever, I can't remember his exact words.
That little maneuver I pulled at the Battle of Tanav. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So that was one. I was like, oh wow, that's cool that they put that bag. I was like, well, that was cool. It was interesting to see the Imperial. It was like the Imperial gunner in their full costume out on top of the refinery. You don't really see these guys all too much. Mainly they were on like the guys that operated the laser on the Death Star, and with that reminds me of the Spaceballs helmet that Rick Moranis had. Just the way that it.
I can't breathe in this thing.
Yeah. It's overly huge, and it looks like an oversized backwards baseball cap. But we don't see them too much, but they were there. Also, the type of troopers that came running out once the transport made it to the facility, we actually got to see some shore troopers in there as well, and we haven't seen those since Rogue One. So I thought that was an interesting addition as well. So you had the regular stormtroopers plus the shore troopers there, plus the TIE pilots, came in at the end. And then the last thing that I thought was interesting, there's two things I have. One is the mention of Operation Cinder, which is, was the Emperor's code for destroying everything and heading to the Outer Rim, so they could try to rebuild the Empire. And then the second one was, or my last one that I have, is we get to see Slave One drop those seismic bombs to take out the TIE pilot or the TIE fighters. And as soon as they were flying off and he dropped it, and I'm like, ooh, and I had to turn up the radio or the TV so I could actually, hear it louder. And just you have that eerie silence, and then that bang, and it just clangs everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
pretty amazing to get to see that again.
Yeah, and that's what I have for for a lot of the stuff that people might miss.
Yeah, so that was like I said, just a really good overall episode. Really got us set up and ready for episode or chapter number 16, which we will get this Friday. Really looking forward to it, and then we'll have next week we'll do our recap on that one, and then after that, who knows what we'll start talking about?
Right?
Yeah.
Any speculation of something that you think that we'll see in this last one?
I had a lot of theories, but I honestly don't think any of them are going to happen. I'm not ready for it to end. Just like RFD is saying in the chat, we're not ready for chapter 16. I'm ready for chapter 16. I'm just not ready for the show to end or the season to end, because we're not going to get another one until next Christmas.
Right. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
I predict, and here's something that I think could very well happen, with the exception of Cobb Vanth. I think we're going to get the entire crew together for this last episode of the season. And it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility that Cobb Vanth could show up. I just don't think it will. I would like to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I do think we're going to get. Kara, Finnick, Bubba, Din Djarin, and Grief Karga all together for this last send off before the season is over. I don't think anything is going to happen to Moff Gideon. Anything ultimately is what's gonna happen to him. I think he's going to be back for season 3. Although I would really like to see it, I don't think the Night Owls are going to show up again. I don't think we're going to get Ahsoka again. Now, I haven't seen any reports as far as what the length of this last episode will be. But I got to imagine it's got to be a little bit longer than, the 30, 32-minute mark. Because they really need to go out with a bang like they did last season.
Right.
But you know what? Whatever happens or whatever doesn't happen, it's going to be a good episode, and I think we're all going to enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. With that, we are going to take our last music break. And then after that, we're just going to have some closing thoughts. So we do not have a top 5 list this week. We basically didn't do a top 5 because we were pretty sure that the news section was going to take up a big chunk of time. So we're going to go ahead and play one more tune. I'm sorry, what did you say?
And it did.
Yes, it did. So this tune is by a band from Philadelphia called Fire in the Radio. They put out an album back in April called Monuments. And the song that we're going to play from that album is called I Said. So here we go. Hope you enjoy this one.
And now we stare up at the sky and ask if we were home. Since you never had one that you know. I said, let me know if you think this is enough. I said, everything doesn't always have to be done. Drown in your own head. Always be in the wild to drown it. This time I know I'll bring you. I said, let me know if you think this is enough. I said, everything doesn't always have to be done. Drown in your own head. Always been the one to drown it. This time I know I'll bring you wrong. Bring wrong.
All right, that was I Said by Fire in the Radio from their album Monuments. That was really good. One of my favorite albums of the year. And you mentioned in the chat, you sounded the Cure. I would agree with that. When I first heard the album, I kind of got an Jesus and Mary Chain vibe.
Yeah.
Joining us here for the last segment of the show is the girls from Force of Light Entertainment. So welcome to the chat. Hopefully next week we can get you in a little bit earlier. But we just finished up our recap of the Mandalorian, the chapter 15. And we're not doing a top 5 this week, as we mentioned. We had a pretty big news section to talk about. And I did have one last topic to discuss that we didn't really have on schedule, but I did want to at least mention. We are recording this on the 15th of December, which is the anniversary of the release of The Last Jedi.
Mm.
So I thought it would be, good idea to just, wish the movie whether you like it or not, it is a Star Wars film, and I celebrate anything that comes out that's Star Wars. So a happy anniversary to that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I liked it, but I also liked Rise of Skywalker. So, it may have had its flaws, but overall, it was a good Star Wars film, I thought. And despite the misgivings a lot of people had with that movie, I thought it was a pretty good movie.
I agree.
But that was really all that we had. Did you have any shout outs that you wanted to do?
Yes, would like to give a shout out to our fellow Red 5 podcast members of From a Certain Point of View. We did a crossover episode with them, and they released part 1, and we'll have part 2 out here fairly soon. If it wasn't already posted already, I'm not sure.
No, I haven't posted it yet. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have it out later this week. We're kind of doing it as a special edition episode. We'll still have some music, and there will be a little bit of talk prior to the Red 5 missions portion. But yeah, that just be on the lookout for that one. Wherever you hear our podcast, you can get it here on YouTube, and then all the other podcast platforms such as Apple and Spotify and all those other good places to find podcasts at. And if you're wondering where you can connect with us, right there at the bottom, just follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Rogue #1 Radio.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, join us in the chat, and we'll be doing it probably about the same time, probably about 7:00 next Tuesday. Really love to have you in the chat. Really like engaging with our listeners, and doing this as a live stream really opens up those possibilities. So we're really looking forward to engaging with more of you folks, and looking forward to next week doing our recap of the last episode of the season. So that'll be next Tuesday.
All right. Yeah.
And thanks for everybody that joined us in the chat. Tell your friends and get them to join too. But that's it. We are out, and looking forward to seeing you next week.
All right. May the force be with you.